Good Monday morning, Alaska. We continue to watch that trend towards some growing wildfire concerns this week as we're beginning to see that shift towards hotter and drier conditions. Now, if you remember last week, it did provide some much needed relief when it came to that wildfire fighting efforts from across the state. But as far as what we're dealing with this morning, when it comes to those wildfire activity, we didn't see much in the way of that growth since last Thursday. We only saw about 30 to 40,000 acres growing since about Thursday or Friday. Waking up this morning, we're sitting at just under 350,000 acres burned so far this season. Now, just a quick reminder that each year we tend to see about 1.1 million acres burned per year across the state. So this by no means is above average, but just giving you an update on where we're at so far this season. 190 active fires, 4 of which are brand new. And of course, we've got 27 staffed wildfires across the state, but we are likely going to see an uptick in that activity this week as we begin to see those hot and dry conditions returning to the interior. We've already got a fire weather watch that will go into effect for the vast majority of the interior starting Wednesday morning, lasting through the evening hours. We're talking about highs this week easily climbing into the mid to upper 80s leading up to Independence Day. And we'll also see that potential for some possible red flag conditions by Wednesday for parts of the interior. This is all due to the potential that we could see some winds increasing by the middle of the week. So that combined with the hot and dry conditions leading to more dry fuels will lead to the possibility that we could see some rapid ignition and growth of that wildfire activity this week. It is different, stark difference from what we did see last week with those cooler and wetter conditions. As far as what we're dealing with this morning across the state, though, we are still holding on to some of that heavier rainfall as you head out towards southwest Alaska. We've got some lingering showers across south central, and of course, as you head out towards southeast, we're also watching some heavy rainfall that's going to grip areas south of Juneau. Now, if you live north of Juneau, you'll still see that potential for some spotty to isolated showers, but really favoring the better potential for rain today as you head out towards southeast for locations through the southern panhandle or southern parts of the southeastern panhandle, I should say. Meanwhile, here across south central, we are holding on to those overcast skies. We are seeing some light rain showers, particularly out towards eastern parts of Prince William Sound. We have seen some lingering rain showers through parts of the valley, but that will quickly taper off this morning with a return to some possible sunshine as we welcome in your Tuesday and Wednesday. But of course, what we're watching for today with that rainfall, the heaviest rain will build into southwest Alaska, really the eastern Aleutians, the Alaska Peninsula, and then through the Kuskokwim Delta and Bristol Bay area. And this comes from that area of low pressure that's building out of Russia and into the Bering. And as it continues to spread eastward, we're going to see that rain continue to increase in intensity for southwest Alaska. We've already seen upwards of 1/4 of an inch of rainfall out towards Bethel. Lighter activity as you head through Bristol Bay and parts of the Alaska Peninsula. But even then, we're going to see that activity steadily increase from today on into your Tuesday evening. Really seeing most of that activity tapering off early Wednesday morning. So here over the next 24 to 36 hours, be prepared for some of that heavier activity that's going to continue to grip western and southwest Alaska, really for locations along the southern Seward Peninsula through Norton Sound, the Yukon Delta, and then you can see a band of some heavier rain through the eastern Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula as we welcome in your Tuesday morning. That's where we're really going to favor some of the heaviest rain this week. With that said, you can still see some ongoing showers expected out towards southeast. Outside of today and into tomorrow, we're going to see a large portion of the panhandle see a tilt towards just some isolated to scattered activity leading up to July 4th, but those temperatures will continue to remain in the 60s. Notice as that low pressure continues to build into western Alaska, we do see a brief ridge build into parts of the Aleutians. That's going to lead to some drier conditions by the middle of the week. Very short-lived dry conditions at that, because we have another low that's going to build in on the backside of that. That's going to flatten that ridge, and that's going to bring the return to more rain and winds for parts of the western and central Aleutians by week's end. So still dealing with rain across the state. One area that's really not going to see much in the way of precipitation outside of some thunderstorm development will be the interior, and this is where we're going to be watching for that wildfire activity to grow this week. Currently waking up 65 degrees in Fairbanks, 65 currently in Dead Horse. We're going to see areas of the slope warming quite nicely into the 50s and 60s this week, Typical June, late June, tends to see those highs right around 45 to 46 degrees along the slope. So some areas could be about 10 to 20 degrees above average. And we're going to really favor some of the warmth this week along the slope and into the interior. This comes as a ridge of high pressure will continue to build into parts of the slope as well as into the interior, leading to those warmer conditions. And you can see that ridge kind of strengthening here over the next couple of days right on top of the slope. This is where we're going to see some of that warming taking hold. Meanwhile, out towards western Alaska, through the southeast, you can see we're still holding on to those areas of low pressure, which will keep some clouds in the forecast, as well as those scattered chances for some rain showers. But through the rest of this week, outside of southwest Alaska, really not watching any areas that's going to be favorable for any heavy precipitation outside of those locations that we did mention. So beyond that rainfall, we are going to be watching those temperatures rapidly warming through the interior. We're talking about highs today near 80 degrees along the slope and into the Brooks Range. You can see those temperatures nosing their way near 70 degrees. We could still see some isolated thunderstorms for the slope and for areas of the eastern interior and the eastern Alaska range. That will likely increase in intensity through at least Wednesday. And keep in mind, we could see that potential for some red flag conditions by the middle of the week if we see winds increasing later this week. So temperatures, though, you can see by Tuesday, we're going to begin to nose our way into the lower 80s, and then even warmer by week's end. Leading up to July 4th, we'll see those highs for Fairbanks and surrounding locations climbing into the mid to upper 80s. With that said, I would not be surprised if we see a heat advisory issued later this week for parts of the interior, as another stretch of warm conditions, hot and dry conditions, I should say, will grip the interior and parts of the slope. What does that mean for us here across South Central, Southwest, and Southeast? Well, for the foreseeable future, we're going to continue to favor highs in the low to mid 60s. If we see any upper 60s, it's going to be the Mat-Su Valley and into the Copper River Basin. We're also going to see a trend towards drier conditions through the rest of this week, although we are going to continue to favor at least some rain near Kodiak. So that 7-day forecast for Fairbanks, you can see steadily warming through the rest of this week. Mid to upper 80s look possible as we lead up to Independence Day. And while we can't rule out some isolated thunderstorm development, not looking as widespread as what we did see about 2 weeks ago, but we will see an uptick in some of that thunderstorm development this week, and again favoring the eastern interior and locations out near the Brooks Range. So we'll make it to 78 today in Fairbanks, upper 50s out towards Utqiagvik, may make a run near 70 degrees for Dead Horse. I believe the record high for today for Dead Horse is 67 degrees, so there is that potential that we could set a brand new record for areas of the slope. And then of course that widespread rain through southwest Alaska and parts of the Aleutians will hold temperatures in the 50s. So we're going to continue to favor at least some cooler weather the next couple of days if you live out towards southwest. One thing to also note with that heavy rain is that persistent southwesterly flow. We'll also see areas of the Kuskokwim Delta coast likely seeing some coastal erosion as those water levels become elevated, and they could be near or above the normal highest tide. So be prepared for that here over the next couple of days. Here across South Central, we will see some sunshine breaks through the middle of the week. Tuesday and Wednesday may provide the best opportunity, but even as we welcome in July 4th and the weekend, you can see those temperatures nosing their way back into the mid to upper 60s. No 70s in the forecast outside of areas of the valley later this week in the Copper River Basin. Of course, we'll continue to watch that trend as we officially welcome in July, but for at least the first week or two of July, we're going to continue to hold on to those highs sitting in the mid 60s. No significant widespread rain does look likely for South Central, so enjoy the drier conditions outside of some coastal rain and some spot showers that we'll see each day. Of course, we'll have more on that coming up in the noon show as well as in the evening newscast. For now, make sure you have a great Monday and, of course, a great rest of the week, and watch out for those growing wildfire concerns through the interior.